We've drawn the parameters and the structures of our property on the plot plan. We've assessed our soil and learned what we're working with on our site. Now it's time to turn our attention to the landscape design.
The starting point for a successful design takes into account both the landscape layout and plants that will fill it. Consider creating a master landscape plan. Even if you don't plan to implement it all at one time, having a master plan will help you work towards your water-smart landscape target. Let's go back to our plot plan and factor in our growing conditions. It's important to know how water moves through your property. Indicate drainage with arrows that shows the direction that surface water flows. Note any areas with poor drainage. Locate downspouts and where your property drains to the street. Locate your sewer cleanouts and irrigation lines. These considerations include what lies underground as well as overhead. Mark the areas of sun exposure and shade and when they occur. Remember, this changes with the seasons, so you may have to call upon your memory. Does the landscape include a microclimate? This is a small area where temperature and weather conditions differ from the surrounding area. It may be warmer or colder, wetter or drier, or more or less prone to frost. For example, this south-facing wall is warmer than the exposed area nearby. Microclimates may be quite small, but they play a big role in the success of plants. Take lots of photos.
This is a good foliage plant.
You can share these with your nursery professional when you're plant shopping. And know your growing zone. Sunset Magazine has mapped San Diego County into zones by climate, temperature highs and lows for summer and winter, and the likelihood of frost. These zones are critical to knowing what plants will thrive and which you should avoid. The Sunset Western Garden Book is an invaluable resource for understanding your growing conditions. Next, let's think about the design of your outdoor space, your current and your future needs. Think of them as use areas. Do you need outdoor areas for children and pets? Shade areas to make your yard more usable in the summer. Privacy plantings to screen out close neighbors. Public areas and entryways with curb appeal. Or areas to entertain in. Make note of these and include them in your plan. Now is the perfect time to improve the functionality of your landscape. Are there plants you want to keep? Natural features, perhaps a swale or slope that you need to consider? A prevailing wind? Where are the door and window locations? Think about creating great views from your windows or preserving an existing view. Look at the perimeters around the house that allow for service, maintenance, and upkeep. Do you need a path to get your garbage cans to the curb or a path to the backyard? Different use areas help define areas that need to be planted and others that can be hardscape, ground cover, or simply mulched. In planning for a water-smart makeover, it's important to assess your home's current irrigation setup. Irrigation systems may seem a bit of a mystery, but they're actually pretty straightforward. We'll talk about irrigation in much more detail later, but for now, we'll give an overview so you know what you're looking at. Water starts at your meter, usually at the curb. It flows to your house and your irrigation system at the valves. Most irrigation systems have a shutoff valve so that you can turn off your water system without affecting the water flow to the interior of your home. Almost all irrigation systems have individual control valves for each zone or station. Valves are often housed as a group inside a box. These valve zones are turned on or off by the controller. The controller can be set on a timer or turned on by the manual switch. Sprinkler heads deliver the water, but it's the controller that determines how much. Controllers can be programmed to target certain zones or operate certain days and for a certain amount of time. Some even have rain sensing devices that turn the system off when sufficient rainfall is detected. Each zone has sprinkler heads or tubes that feed drip emitters. All plants in that zone receive water for the length of time set on the controller. Ground cover and turf require spray heads or rotors to disperse water over large areas evenly. Drip is located to give individual plants water at their roots. Drip is one of the most efficient irrigation methods. Make a note on your plot plan of where your sprinklers, valves, and heads are located. Now that you've factored in your growing conditions and design needs, you can choose plants that provide function as well as beauty. Imagine how the plants will fill the space and enhance your lifestyle. Factor in what may limit your choices and what might inspire them. And to give plants the best chance of success, make sure they are suited to your soil type, soil drainage patterns, your microclimate, sun, and wind exposure. Keep in mind your water-smart landscape target that we identified in Step 1 to ensure that you meet your water conservation goals.
Once you know what you have to work with, you can make thoughtful design decisions for your water-smart landscape.